Okay, as we just get a couple of minutes past the top of the hour, I'm going to go ahead and get this session started. I'd like to welcome everybody for coming tonight, and thank you all for giving us a little bit of your time to enjoy a conversation that I'm going to have with our guest. This is a webinar from 1284, and we titled it "Add Dollars to the Bottom Line and Satisfy More Optical Patients." I'm Dr. Scott Jentz, the moderator, and our guest tonight is Dr. Wayne Gilmore. I do want to make a housekeeping note. We are going to, at the end of the live session, provide two of the attendees, each with a $50 Amazon gift card. We do ask that you stay on the line. We'll ask you to respond to a chat. If we call your name at the end, that will be done randomly, and it'll be for any of the participants who have been here for the duration of the presentation. So our way of saying thank you for you spending some of your time with us tonight. I want to go ahead and introduce Dr. Wayne Gilmore. Wayne is from the great state of Kansas, and his practice is called Eye Care Associates of Parsons. Dr. Gilmore, welcome tonight.
Hi, Scott. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we're really thrilled to have you here because you've put a lot of time and thought into this. A lot of good ideas take a long time to marinate, and good decisions sometimes take a long time. And we're going to talk a little bit about Dr. Gilmore's experience with 1284, which is a relatively new one after a good bit of contemplation and consideration. Just as a quick aside, Dr. Gilmore, tell me a little bit about your practice. We see here you have 3 doctors, 2 FTEs, and a very successful practice. Tell us just a little bit more about it as I see you're sitting there tonight.
You know, my partner's dad started practicing. He took over a practice. Like I said, it's been since 1917. In 1958, my partner joined in the 90s, the early 90s. I joined in 99. And we sit in Southeast Kansas, very, very rural. We're 2 hours from Kansas City, 2 hours from Tulsa, 2 hours from Springfield, Missouri, 2 hours from Wichita, Kansas. So very rural area, agriculture, manufacturing, but 9,500 people in our town and draw from, about a 30-mile radius. But 1284 has been a nice, nice addition. I've been looking at it ever since 2018 was the first time I met Natasha, and so it's been something we've contemplated, and with some staff change and some things that have happened in the last year, it really became a possibility, or something for us to give it a shot.
Well, thanks for summarizing. The oldest practice west of the Mississippi, perhaps, right?
That's what my partner claims. So that's our claim.
All right, well, it's up to the audience to verify it if you think differently. Otherwise, we're going to go with that. So again, to the attendees, I do want to now also introduce 1284. For those of you who have heard of it or not, 1284 is an in-house brand that is your in-house brand. It has specifically been created by CEO Natasha Vora and staffed at the front levels by Katie Dembski, who are both on the line with us tonight. And the point of 1284 is to give you some control back in your optical. Now, 1284 is a completely curated line. At a different session, Natasha can tell you about the incredible design process that went into building all these products. These are fantastic quality products, not closeouts from some manufacturer that's done selling products, that have been curated, named, and presented for you to share with your patients as your in-house brand. And it's an all-inclusive kind of product. It is something that provides a high-quality product from the frame and the lens, the AR and the case, and the cleaning rag, and it has incredibly transparent pricing with fantastic profits, because the 1284 team has put themselves to work to get supply chain coordinated in a way where there is no way you can buy at a more affordable level this fantastic kind of brand of eyewear. And again, it's your brand. There isn't a 1284 anywhere other than where a practice like Dr. Gilmore carries it. And when we talk about it tonight, we're going to talk about it in a way that makes you feel like you should give it a look. And so what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Gilmore's dispensary history. Dr. Gilmore, you face the same staffing issue that so many eye care practices do. I want you to tell us just a brief bit about how things went from 2019 to today, and why 1284 seemed to fit that issue in your staff practice, in the staffing of your practice.
Well, like everybody, we have employees that come and go, but in our optical, for the duration of my time, we had really 3 mainstays and a 4th person that came in that had 25 years of experience. So we had upwards in 2019 of 85 years of experience of the 4 ladies in our optical. And then things changed with, we had a retirement and a move, and somebody got married and left, and somebody, anyway, so we lost all four of them within the span of a year. So we had all new folks come in. One person had moved over from the other side of the office, but the other three were brand new to optical. And so purchasing frames, we just became, we became more active in it. And it's just, and the learning curve is pretty steep, right, on that side of the practice. And so this one, 1284, becomes something that, we started to talk about, and eventually, made the move.
You talked earlier about your decision process. Before we think about that, let's talk about these pain points. You mentioned to me in a conversation, like most eye care practices, you said you're rural, but you got prescriptions walking out to Walmart. You didn't always have an answer for that. And behind you, you're showing us your 1284 display in your practice. But every frame on the wall, right, is a $50 or $100 bill. And you started to think that you needed to make some changes in the way you manage that part of your business.
Yeah, because all the inventory, you just, every year we count the inventory and the number of frames, you put a dollar amount to it. That's a pretty steep number, 1,000 frames or whatever we have in the office. And so, so that's become the control of the inventory, and has been is a real issue. And also,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to talk about the Walmart the prescriptions going
please.
out. That's something that, and I think we'll talk about it later, but having an option for them that's high quality, a great price, and quick turnaround, and warranties great. But we also present it side by side with even vision care plan sales. I think we'll talk about that later, and it presents really well, and it's been successful in that way.
In the old days, there were consignment frames you could bring in. They weren't very good quality. They filled some space. You still had to ship them to the lab if you were going to make glasses for the patient. And there was a lot of, I would say, sort of negativity toward taking up some of the frame board space to reduce inventory carrying costs. But 1284 is a complete system, right? It's a plug and play. So I know your patients love it. I know your staff loves it. Talk a little bit about, you do high-end eyewear too. Talk a little bit about how you've implemented it as this good and better levels in the good, better, best conversation.
Well, I think that it fits in very well in the good and better, categories, but it's the ease of the process. I asked Julie, one of my opticians tonight, I told her we were doing this, and I asked her, I said, how's it been? Because I'd asked two other ones earlier, and her quote was, and you can call her and ask her tomorrow, but she said, I wish everybody worked like this in terms of just the turnaround time and the ease of the ordering, and just the whole process. She goes, I wish everyone worked like this. And so that she's elated with how the process works. But as far as the sales part, I think, it having the in-house brand, it doesn't, that a patient already sees that as maybe something, it doesn't necessarily have a brand name on it, but it's our own, and the cost is less, but the quality is high, and the lens quality is incredibly good. And so that's the thing that patients are like, yeah, these are really good lenses, are really quality, and the frames, are great as well.
Yeah, and to talk about good, better, best, for those of you that are familiar with it, this might be a review, but the idea that most of us in our eye care centers want to work our patients through upselling to our premium products, paid for at a premium price. This product is a really a premium level product at excellent pricing, so you can present it to the patients who otherwise have an aversion to buy as your good level or your better level. Natasha and the team refer to the good level as the discover level. And these are good AR coatings, good product lenses, and then the inspire level takes everything up a level. And you even get the better level with blue light. So the beauty is that these products have been lab tested to be very equivalent to high-end products. But because of the way we're able to procure them, because we're not using brand names, we're using our house name, it really gives you an opportunity at your optical, the way Dr. Gilmore is, to sell these to your patients and feel great about it. You're not taking any steps down, right, Dr. Gilmore?
That's exactly right. And I had one today that she was online orderer, and she actually stated in the in the exam room, she goes, I just, she was caught between a rock and a hard place, she felt, because she has had trouble buying online with quality, and she couldn't afford, our stuff. So previously she thought, and so we presented 1284 and she purchased 1284 today. So that's stuff that happens all the time. And contact lens wearers, obviously that's a great niche, but it's filled a lot of voids, and we've only had it a short amount of time, but we've had, quite a bit of success that I think we'll show later.
The vision care plan patients who have an allowance, this doesn't get covered under those allowances. You are able, however, to present it to patients that they've already used their benefits, or their benefits might cover something else. And 1284 can be a better quality, less cost than sometimes they get on the discounted vision care plan. Is that what you said?
Exactly. And so, a lot of times we used to, present it and just let the patient control it, and whatever was the better deal for the patient. So they would spend the benefit on their glasses and then pay for the contacts. And so we're having the opposite now. They're using their vision benefit on the contact lenses and buying the glasses. And that's a win-win for all of us, because we show them side by side. Like, there's a lot of times, we present, if you'd have bought with your vision plan, if you'd have paid out of pocket, these were $700 with your vision plan, you're only paying $400. And then, but we have 1284 and you can get it for, this amount of money. So that we show that the 1284 is a better deal, and it's a lot better deal for us as well. And it's a win-win for everyone. And it's really worked, in those situations worked really well.
I just want to go back on one more point. I think a lot of us have either heard and then taught our staff to say something like, don't prejudge the price sensitivity of a patient, or we've seen it play out, right? We believe it. We say it so much to ourselves, we believe it. But isn't every patient, regardless of how much money they have, price sensitive?
Absolutely. Everybody's price sensitive, no matter. Yeah, exactly. And I've learned that a lot with, especially with, farmers, or it doesn't matter what person wears, but you judge somebody and then they're the ones that spend $2,000, and you're optically buy 4 pair of glasses or whatever, 3 pair of glasses. And so, yeah, I never prejudge people, because you just never know.
Yeah. So you talked about implementing it, then you talked about getting the staff up to speed. But one of the things that was really important to you was managing, as we talked earlier, the pain point of the cost of those frames on your shelf. I remember doing December 31st inventory add-ups, and it gave me heartburn. So What did you end up doing to make room for some of these? Because you've ended up displaying them very prominently in your practice.
Yeah, well, we sold down. We had some frame lines we eliminated, and then we sold down. And I'll tell you, even our when we talked about doing it, 2018, 2019, they were not having it. And so again, we didn't want to die on that hill. So it went, and then we brought it back up, like I said, and so we sold things down, and the ladies were still a little reluctant, and then, the first day we had it, we sold a couple, and it's, people look around, the optical when they're waiting, and they'll pull that frame off the board, and just without us presenting it too. So the frames sell themselves, and then, but the staff, once they saw that, they got real quick buy-in. And then once they saw the ease of use within our EHR and the ordering and how quick they come and the quality control from the lab, all of those things have been just right on point.
Appreciate you saying that. And just as a matter of information to the listeners, I want you to know that the EHR companies are really hard to integrate with. So the team at 1284 does their best to present information to you through portals and other ways to make ease of ordering simple, no matter what practice management software you're on. And I think it's also important to point out that you felt like the value was fantastic. I will tell you folks that the way that the manufacturer suggested retail pricing go, 1284 being the manufacturer, makes it super simple. And I want to again talk, you had these staff that are new, Wayne. It had to be really useful to say, we don't have convoluted package pricing. It's just this, and it works. And you also talked about their policies, that they're very generous and very easy to work with. Talk a little bit about your experience working with the 1284 team.
That's been, like I said, they've had nothing but great things to say. we've had some lab issues on the other side of things, and so it's 1284 has been a blessing in that regard for our staff. But the non-adaptions, that none of those things have been an issue. The non-adapts, the quality control, like I said, we all see quality issues in the last couple of years, especially more, and that's not been an issue. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on here. That's the gospel. That's just the fact for us. And then as far as and I've never been a big, this AR or this AR is so much better than this one, or this progressive so much better than this one. There are some that I guess work and don't, but we haven't had any problems. No problems with the progressives, and and the simplicity of the packaging is, it's kind of what we always talked about. We always wanted good, better, best. We've been talking about that for years, and we've never been able to have a, because everything changes, and then also we've never successfully sold, kept things on the frame board and just ordered, because there's always back orders and there's always issues, or you got to pull this one off for this person, and it's just not that way with 1284. So that's been the beauty. It's let us do what we've talked about doing for years with packaging and with selling off the board, or not selling off the board. So.
And let's just go a little deeper on that last point. The reason that turnaround time is incredible is that the way 1284 does it is they work with the lab that provides the lenses. So it's an all-inclusive package, and your staff sells an emerald colored frame, one of the lines, and they put it, they clean it, put it back on the board. And in the ordering process, they just say, get the emerald one going. And you never have to drop ship this stuff with the FedEx or the UPS person, right?
No, there's none of that. And then, so he comes in, and we do edge some. I mean, in our normal stuff, we edge some, and there's no edging, but the ordering's easy. Just from the staff time is just nil compared to everything else. There's no vision plan to deal with, right? So, and that's the time the employee takes, and I'm sure Natasha has that stuff figured out, how long it takes to order do a traditional order versus a 1284 order. It's a fraction of the time. It's a couple minutes versus several, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is.
I appreciate that. One of the things that the earlier slide showed was the packaging 1284 presents, including the case, which is a triangular collapsible magnetic case, and the cloth. And it gives you a chance in your team to explain and further embed that 1284 is your house brand. So when somebody comes back next year, they can expect that there will still be some of that available for them, and they can do it again if they'd like, right?
Yeah, it's our in-house brand. We have the thing behind me. That's something that we talk about, and that's going to build over time, right? So that's a good thing,
right.
and people are telling their friends about it. We've had several referrals on it as well.
So the number that really got me was that you have, in 5 months, dropped $22,000 to the bottom line. And that's something that doesn't come easily in optical. And I'd like you to just kind of explain it a little bit more. I know you did a little digging for the purposes of this webinar, and you guys have sold a lot of glasses in 5 months and are finding success financially.
And just like everybody, we see a lot of vision care plans. We see it. We take the two biggest, and so, but we have options. We have options now for those folks that want something else, or want another pair, or the contact lens wearers. But for us, 100, I think it's actually 107 pairs is totally what we sold in that time frame, and we were pleasantly surprised. I don't look at it that close, and once we started digging and seeing those numbers, it was good. It was nice to see, and it's been a good thing for our patients and our business.
When we see this out at an annualized level, it becomes pretty impressive. I do want to make sure we hit on the idea that there is a recommended price, so it keeps you from having to do any calculations. I got to guess that simplicity is really nice too, because you just pick whether you want to go Discover or Inspire, and you go, right? Yeah,
the chart's a half page, and it's very simple. If it's a single vision, flat top, progressive, and then what the AR is, and the lens type. So it's really quick and easy, and some people worry about that this is gonna cannibalize other things. It's not for everybody, but there's definitely a need and a niche in a practice. And the fact that you're not investing in frames, the price points are great for patients, and the profit is great for the doctors. It's just it's a great option, and it's definitely something practices should look at to incorporate into the practice. And I think this, it's a fantastic model that I just think it's great for private practice.
Well, that's why we have you on as our guest. I mean, this is real experience. And when we heard your story, we thought we had to tell it. So I want to talk a little bit to the audience about how you engage with 1284. In order to get all these frames, have them on hand, get all the updates, all the service you have, there is an ongoing subscription fee that is very basic, very simple, and you recapture when you sell a pair of glasses. So it's very simple and very easy to get engaged. You get ship the kit, and then you can display it the way Dr. Gilmore has. You can display it and keep them in their own cases. You can use it as you wish because it's your in-house brand. And the cost of goods, as we showed in that exercise, is going to give you a 3 times profit. That is a fantastic opportunity, right? Your cost of goods is a fraction of what it is in regular eyewear purchases. And it's this fantastic product that doesn't cut any corners. It doesn't have any issues with durability, wearability, or trouble. And in the case where something odd happens, this team supports unlike anything that I've ever seen in the market. One of the things that Natasha shared with me is this sort of start in the upper right-hand corner, right? If you have 150 exams in a month, you're working 20 days, that's, not even 10 exams a day. If you can do 1 out of every 10 of those in 1284, and the average revenue is $270, you're going to make $2,400 on the sale of those 15 pairs of glasses. And that is covering the fee. So you can get all these frames in your practice, display them, and knock it out of the park. And I want to make sure I emphasize that 1284, which happens, by the way, to be the year that glasses were invented in Italy. That's part of the brand story that 1284 shares with you and lets you share with your patients, gives this really interesting story that, frankly, I don't see from other frame and lens companies. They have interesting stories, but this is a story that you can tell because it's your story for your patients. So I'd really recommend that people that are listening and those of you that watch the recorded version later, think about taking action. This is not something that takes a lot of time to think about. Dr. Gilmore, you had people that you were working with in your practice that had a very set way. And maybe it took some fundamental and maybe even seismic changes for the rest of you to decide, let's go with this. What advice would you give to recommend to the listeners as sort of a last bit from you as to why they should think about 1284, engaging with the team and talking about considering it?
Well, I think, you look at these dollar sales when you sell a pair of glasses on one of the major vision plans, and it's 700, whatever the number is, and you do the math and you figure out at the end of the day, once all the dust settles, how much money are you bringing in, and how much time do you put into that sale and the data entry, and seriously, if you sit down and just think about that, time it with a stopwatch, and then do the money, and then look at 1284 about the time, and then the money and the effort and the overhead of the expense of the frame. I mean, I think if you do that, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that it's something you should do, and you'll be happy you've done. And frame board is always something. We don't have room on the frame board, but we all can make room on the frame board if we want to. And it's there's no cost to have these frames on your board.
I appreciate you saying that. And Natasha and Katie and the 1284 team have been successful now in a couple hundred practices or more. And this is really taking off because optometrists are seeing a new market in front of them, a new wave of consumerism, people trying to make decisions for themselves. And they want the eye care professional to give them a lot of choice, and then they can be in control. And 1284 increases your chance of satisfying your patients because it gives them a sense that they have choice from the practice that they've always trusted for their eye care. Natasha and the team want me to share that anybody that goes through this process and thinks about subscribing by the end of this month is going to be able to get started with 1284 and won't have any subscription fees until the beginning of the summer. You'd get shipped the frame kit, and you can start touching and feeling and working with them. And you would also get 2 pair of 1284 to try for yourself, somebody in the practice. So You're going to get a survey in the next day or two that's going to ask you a question or two. We'd like you to fill that out. The way to get in touch with the 1284 team is through this email address, through the toll-free number, and live chat is available right on the 1284 website. I just can't thank you enough for spending some time with us tonight. Now, we did invite, for a few of you who came in later, anybody who stayed through the session tonight was going to get an opportunity to get in a drawing for 2 Amazon gift cards. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the names of those folks. If when you hear your name, you could just reply back in the chat to let us know you're here. We'll then get that taken care of. And then I think there might be a question or two for those that want to stick around. Dr. Gilmore and I will stay. But this is the part we really wanted you to all hear. So Katie, are you going to bring us the names of the folks that have won the drawing?
I am, provided my internet lets me keep up. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Okay, first winner is, bear with me, I need to change the number of numbers.
Random number generator, folks. She's
I
doing this
know.
legit.
I'm doing it as we speak. I have a wheel and everything. So that is Samantha Love.
Okay.
And then our next.
And she raised her hand.
You raise her hand, great. And I'll text you, I'll send you a message in just a minute and confirm your email and everything so we can get that out to you. And the other one is Todd Clark.
Okay. Well, hopefully Todd will chime in. Hopefully he's stuck with us. I saw him with the first login, so I know he was here.
I know, he's still on our attendee list. Hello,
and he's
Todd.
there.
All right, I'll shoot you guys messages right now to confirm your contact information.
So folks, using the chat, the Q&A, if anybody has a question, I want to ask Dr. Gilmore. You can see he's been frank and forthright tonight. We just can't thank him enough for giving us some time at the end of a long day of business. If anybody has any questions, we'll stand by for a moment. And if you'd like to type a chat or type a Q&A, we'll stand around for it. Please go ahead and enter a question if you have it. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Support@1284.com is the way you get in touch with the 1284 team. What I'm going to do is yield the rest of the time back to your evening. Dr. Gilmore, thank you so much for your participation in this session. Your absolute forthright and honest views about how optometrists can improve their business is really appreciated.
That's my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
And to the rest of you, great success to all of you. Please keep in touch with the 1284 team. Please keep making great decisions that help advance your practice. You can add bottom line dollars. You can satisfy your patients all at the same time. 1284 is for you. Until we talk again, I'm Scott Jentz. Thanks for attending our webinar. Have a great night.